Okay, quick look at wood run, just some basic information. Start with the axis main. Look at the cap zone sphere in yellow here. You see that it kind of splits the difference between the two buildings and touches on either of them at its widest points. So you can see the ladders in the center and the walkway there, and part of the stairway on the inside of this building are all in the cap zone. So those would be the places to watch, of course. Guard against on an attack and be very careful of. The green cubes that you see from time to time here in the buildings are the spawn points. You see there's one there in the barracks. You can see the vehicles there as we kind of zip by them. But those are pretty familiar. There's another spawn point in this building here on the one side of the sphere. And we'll find another one over here in this building. This has kind of followed the convention of mapping. It has spawn points inside buildings and outside the cap zone. So that's the way it works on this particular main. Look at here is an approach that the enemy could take to get to the main, and they'd come through this fields in 18 and come up into the barracks, and if half track, which were in the same place then, Bren carrier then were unoccupied, they'd take them. So that can be done and needs to be guarded against. These would be the main approaches here if coming from that direction. And there's another spawn point to get into the cap zone, get up those ladders and get into the buildings, especially the front building. Well, the other approach that would be taken would be along this other side over here. And we can see there's these woods and fields along that edge leading to what could be enemy-held bases, but a lot of capability for infiltration into the flag area from this side, and that was very frequently done in 18. Also, very often with mass attacks and lots and lots of troops. That's the way it has to be done there. Well, here shows a path to the crossing. Crossing, of course, is a very important flag. It has a very large cap zone. We can see the approach here coming from our side as we go into it, where the sphere representing the cap zone will touch on objects in our side of the river and provide cover in there. See, really it's pretty good on our side. I think the cap zone extends into some good shelter, some good basics, except for one thing on their side that is superior, and that's one small building, as we'll see. But really getting to the cap zone, approaching to the river's edge, it's pretty good from our side. You might take note of these ruins building here on their side. That's the key building on their side. That has a lot of shelter. That provides a lot of cover and is the main feature of the cap zone on that side of the river. Another thing to notice are these wooden fences on either side. Ours is a little better. It has a little fewer gaps and provide a good firing line. There are mirror image civilian trucks and groups of weapons on either side of the river at crossing. And you'll notice there are no green cubes. There are no spawn points at crossing. So squad leaders are nothing. And I believe it's a very high point flag, so we have to be aware of that. That'll be verified, and we'll see how much it's worth compared to the other flags as we progress through these intel videos. Well, now we'll swing our attention over to the Uncle Abdul flag. We'll see that it's very close to the crossing flag. That's a point that'll be mentioned over and over again, probably, because it is so important. Abdul is a spawning flag. It will spawn the squad leaders that will then go over to the crossing. That will help cap it and get its points towards getting the lead. Well, if we look at the cap zone here, I see that the dome sphere extends into a lot of buildings. And I think that's the hallmark feature of this particular flag. is that the cap zone reaches into so many buildings, nooks and crannies and corners. It doesn't exactly swamp over any particular building, but takes in a corner of it here and there. And it has some assets. Again, you'll see the green cubes are the spawn points. They're inside the buildings. They're outside the cap zone. In part of the film here, you can see the Kubel there. That's an African Kubel, so it's a fast one. Get a fast Jeep. There's also a set of kits in front of the one building there. You can see the little kind of blue cubes. That's a set of weapon kits. There'll be a flamethrower, a shotgun kit, a Russian rifle kit, and a light machine gun. It's really a infantry rifle machine gun, a BAR or an FG-42, depending on the team. That's the standard equipment loadout in the flags. And I think the fast mover is probably a pretty important asset and a really good one to have, and reason to have the spawning flags besides everything else that they offer. But this flag will mean digging people out of the buildings, getting the squad leaders out of the perimeters in all likelihood. But it's very important and maybe the critical flag on the map, in the sense that it's the one that helps secure crossing in many, many events. Well, now we'll take a jump to the Allied main. We'll see that it's generally a very small cap zone. They have equipment on two sides of the main, one set near the cap zone and one set under the hangar here. So their vehicles split, and they have spawn points, as you can see, inside the buildings. It's a two-person to cap flag, as is the Axis main. You see there's not a lot of cover for the cap zone, mainly in the courtyard of the one villa building and then kind of behind the open fence there. But otherwise, not a whole lot of cover. It's not very big. Probably be a lot of S-mines, be a observer and a machine gun, and maybe some people nearby to call in to counterattack, and probably a force coming from Uncle Abdul's if they hold that, which is another good reason to have Uncle Abdul's. I'll take a jump to the mosque flag, and we'll see that the cap zone here is kind of a swelled cap zone. It has a flag building right in the middle, the flag planted in the middle of the building there. So of course that's an important place to hold. But the other feature is the fact that the cap zone extends into the roof areas of some of the buildings and little parts of balconies and ledges and that kind of thing. And so what you want to do for the mosque flag is look for the ladders to the rooftops. This one also has some connecting planks to the roofs, so you look for the walkways there, and take a real quick glance at some of the ladders here that lead up to the rooftops, which is kind of a main feature of this particular flag. You climb up ladders, get on the roofs, find a little strip of cap zone, get in it, and that's really kind of the basics of this flag, and it has the standard issue kits and transportation.